Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, the king is dead. Long live the Origami King! It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including the reveal of a new Paper Mario game. And then on Thursday, we are going to be ranking Nintendo RPG heroes. But in the meantime, Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing so good, Patrick. Can I tell you, like, what I think is a weird casualty of the whole like COVID-19 thing?
Sure, please.
So in the building I live in, next to it on the roof, they have like giant neon letters that like spell out the name of the building, and they're like green. And so ever since we've moved in, at night our apartment is basically like that scene in Vertigo where like Jimmy Stewart has forced like Kim Novak, to change her hair and clothes and everything to look like the woman he thinks is dead. And it's like the sign outside is like flashing that green. That's basically what our apartment was like. And then just like a couple of weeks ago, it stopped. They just stopped turning it on at night. And I'm like, is this is it a cost saving measure? I don't know. I had gotten so used to it, and now it's just like not there.
It's interesting that you classify that as a casualty. I would think that that is like a benefit of the quarantine, is that you no longer have to deal with this green light pouring into your windows.
Weird. I mean, it wasn't really like that bad. It was like street light, except it would be green. But the difference was like it was actually kind of nice because it would be on all night, and then it would turn off at like 4 or 5. So if I got up to use the bathroom and it was off, I didn't have to check my phone. I knew that it was after like 5 o'clock.
Sure. I mean, if that's the only piece of information that you wanted is whether or not it's up. Can I tell you the strange casualty of quarantine that I experienced just yesterday? We have an ice cream shop near us called Wanderlust that I like quite a bit. And a couple weeks ago, we ordered 3 pints of ice cream from them. And we did this again yesterday, and we ordered what all did we order? Like the Japanese Neapolitan, the two other flavors. And they were like, "Ooh, sorry, we're out of one of those flavors." And we were like, "Okay, well, we'll substitute it." This is what it was. We weren't going to get the Japanese Neapolitan. We were going to get 3 other flavors. And they said like, "Okay, we don't have that one flavor." And I was like, "All right, fine. We'll substitute it with Japanese Neapolitan." But there was no place to say like, we're substitute this one with Japanese Neapolitan, leave the other 2 the same. So instead, we got 3 separate pints of Japanese Neapolitan, which is 3 flavors in one still. So like, it's kind of okay. It's just not what I wanted exactly. Speaking of not what I wanted exactly, my copy of Sonic Forces. Would you like to borrow it? You can. All you got to do you can get on a list to borrow it someday. All you got to do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and give us a mailing address where I can send my copy of this game for you to play on your Nintendo Switch for as long as you like. You send it back, and it's the perfect program. Perhaps undercutting its perfection a little bit is the fact that you could, if you wanted to. And again, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I'm not trying to give advice here. But if you would like to buy Sonic Forces on the Nintendo Switch eShop, it is on sale for $9.99. Now, Mark, you may ask yourself, how much more expensive is that than Patrick sending his copy to me? And it's about the same. That's about how much it cost me to do it.
Right. It's about the same for you. For somebody else.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. It's like $10. Oh, I will also say that Sonic Mania is $10 as well. So
that is also true.
Like really weigh your options, but we have full faith that whatever you decide is correct for you.
Right. And hey, look, if you're like if you want to buy the game and borrow my copy, that is fine. This is an offer that we make, and someday I will go back to the post office and the program will be alive once again, just on hiatus.
And really, I understand the urge, even if you buy the game, to want to be part of a perfect program. So
It's so rare that you can be part of anything that's perfect or even approaching perfection. So like I do get it. Speaking of approaching perfection, thank you to everyone who has been adding us as friends on the Nintendo Switch. We appreciate it greatly. It's fun to see what people are playing and to see people pop on, like when they're playing Animal Crossing or whatever. Our friend codes are in the description of every single episode, so please start adding us. Mark, do you accept every friend request that comes your way?
yeah, absolutely.
Hey, me too. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. So, due to some news that we are going to discuss in the news section, thank you very much. I dug out my Wii U and started to play Paper Mario Color Splash again. Now, I said again because I did pick it up and play it when it came out originally. I did not finish the game. I got to the point where it like really opens up and is like, now you can go after these 3 or 4 different like giant paint stars. Got overwhelmed and didn't go back to it until now and this weekend when I'm motivated to know something about Paper Mario. And I was reminded of all of the reasons that I put the game down in the first place. It is the game is adorable. The art style is great. The writing is very funny, and the game is oozing with charm. Presentationally, no complaints. It's all in like the execution. The game makes you. The main battle mechanic is your individual moves are cards, and so you select the cards on the gamepad using the stylus, and then like you decide how much you want to paint them with the paint that you have available, and then you had to like put the stylus away so you can like do the timed button press to get like a little extra damage. So you're constantly going back and forth, and it's really fiddly when all you're trying to do is like knock over 2 spinies and like get to the next room. So yeah, I put in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half this weekend, and I think that's going to be it for me until the new one comes out.
Yeah, I have not played Sticker Star for the 3DS or Color Splash for the Wii U, but I feel like the complaints that you're talking about with Color Splash are really similar to the stuff that was said about Sticker Star, where it's kind of like the game gets in its own way.
Yeah, well, and like both games are, they're turn-based combat based on like a totally non-reusable like like when I use a card to make Mario hit someone with a hammer, that card is done. Right. And in Sticker Star, same thing. Like you use the sticker and then that sticker is gone. And there are some things like it's so counter to the way I play most RPGs where I'm like, all of my anything that I can run out of, I'm going to hoard and not use up. I'm just going to spam attack for as long as I can. There is no such thing in these 2 Paper Mario games. We'll see if the new one is like that. I also spent a little time on Sunday playing Super Mario Maker 2. I just sort of disappeared into a wormhole of endless Mario levels. It was one of those where I was playing and I was listening to some kind of dumb podcast on my headphones. And the world disappeared behind me, and then eventually 2 hours later, Sarah was like, "Patrick," and I was like, "Ugh." It was like waking from a Mario dream. I don't recommend it necessarily, but it was a way to pass the time.
I've been playing still New Super Mario Brothers U, making my way through it just a little bit at a time. The last time I played it was with you, and I had a blast. But playing the game solo instead of in multiplayer is like a totally different experience. Just because,
totally.
like you can be when you're playing with both people, like in order to get some of the coins, you just like throw somebody at it and they're going to die, but it's like whatever, it doesn't matter as long as the other person can keep going. Like the strategy totally changes. And so I'm enjoying like taking it one level at a time and being like a little bit more methodical. And I'm really enjoying the game on those terms. I think it's one thing that the new Super Mario Brothers games maybe don't get enough credit for is like how versatile they are and
Yeah.
how different the experience is whether you're playing by yourself or in like multiplayer.
Yeah, it is amazing that the levels are like they are big enough to accommodate two, three, four players. But like, yeah, it is totally comfortable and like you say, way more methodical to have to approach it by yourself. And then you can't just like throw yourself. You're like, oh yeah, there's the coin is under a platform there. I'll just jump to it and then fall to my
Right.
doom. It doesn't matter. Who cares? We have both also played a little Tetris 99 this weekend because, of course, it was the Tetris Maximus for Animal Crossing. Um, I, I sent Mark a text because we declared that we would be best friends and figure and make sure that we both got this thing. Mark, how did you do in the Tetris Maximus Cup?
Man, it had been a while since I had played Tetris 99, and in the beginning it took me about like a game or two to warm up. In the beginning it was like rough cuz I couldn't really remember the controls. I had yeah, it was strange. But once I got the rhythm, I actually did pretty good. Like it was probably the fastest that I've gotten the 100 points. Um
Yeah.
but I loved the Animal Crossing theme.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Like because it's the Animal Crossing music, which means that it is super chill, and when it gets down to 50 opponents left, it's like, all right, now we're ratcheting up the tension to still very chill. And then like you get into the top 10 and it's like, oh, now it's the 5 o'clock music, which is also just like doon ding 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 ding.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
know. I
still
normally
super chill.
play. I normally play in the Splatoon 2 theme, and the difference in like the stress level in the music is so stark. Like Splatoon 2
Yeah.
starts like hard and heavy, and at the end it's just like ratcheting it up to like insane levels.
The oh man, the Splatoon thing is so stressful because it does the final 30 seconds of the Splatoon match music when you get down to the final 10. But like, Splatoon only intends for you to hear that for 30 seconds at a time, and it's like a perfect 30-second loop. But Tetris 99, no way, man. You can be in the top 10 for entire minutes.
I
It's
loved
brutal.
I loved in the Animal Crossing theme how like the Tetris blocks were different. Like
Yeah.
it was either fruit or like I think it was mostly fruit, and then there would be fossils in there as well. Like I just thought it was really
Yeah.
fun.
Fossils and fish. Yeah, I mean, it was super cute, and you're just surrounded by the faces of all of the neighbors. And I would get excited when I would find my villagers in there, Um, yeah, oh, what a delight. Speaking of Animal Crossing, Mark, how is your new island?
I haven't made any progress. I don't know that I'm going to go back to it.
I mean, it is a bold move to nuke your island. Like that's bold, Mark. I don't know that I'd be able to go back at this point.
Well, I mean, I genuinely can't go back, and I did solve the problem that people have, and where I've had in the past, where it's like, man, I don't want to turn on Animal Crossing because it's been a year since I've been there, and like everything's going to be run down, and people are going to be
Yeah.
mad at me. It's like not an option.
Sure, they don't exist anymore. Which also, I mean, like, if you never turn the game back on again, the characters don't exist, right? Like, they don't exist until you turn the game on.
Right.
I continue to just check in on that game. I have not played yet today, but it is my intention to play tonight when we are done recording. But maybe that won't happen. Maybe I'll take a day off.
I saw an article on Polygon that I could definitely relate to, which was basically talking about people who, have put hours and hours and hours into the game, and then they decided for one reason or another to um to delete their island and possibly start over. And some of the people in it were talking about how they kind of had this feeling of FOMO where they were seeing other people's islands on Twitter and Instagram, and they were like, wow, like mine
Yeah.
is crappy compared to that. And I don't think that's necessarily why I deleted my island, but I can definitely relate to that. I mean, it was definitely part of it where, like I had my island and I was like, I don't really like this that much. Like it's not that cool, it's not that fun. And I feel like I could do better if I started over. And so I had the intention to, and then I actually got into it and was like, oh, maybe I don't want to start over. But I just thought the
Yeah.
article was interesting because it was like, oh yeah, like I can totally relate to that.
It is interesting because like this feels like the first truly like social Animal Crossing. I know they all are, right? But like that this was the first time that people were sharing things on the like level of social media. And so kind of the first time where you could be like genuinely like inspired or intimidated by what other people are doing in the game. And like yeah, you do see such like elaborate creations from people who are like turning their island into, a famous location from another video game, or, someone turned their island into the Haunted Mansion from Disneyland, and like all this stuff where it's just like, oh, but people are playing this game in ways that like I can't even wrap my brain around. Um, and like it's such a make your own fun kind of game that when you see other people having a different kind of fun, it can make you start to question the fun that you were having with it. And so like yeah, that speaks to me a lot. Let's see. I guess that's all we've been playing this week. All right, Mark, let's get into let's get into some new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right, today, May 19th, the day has come. The Wonderful 101 Remastered is released on the Switch eShop. Um, since I deleted Animal Crossing, my island, anyways,
Well, I was gonna say, whoa, 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 whoa.
and I've been playing New Super Mario Brothers U, but I do feel like I'm in this kind of like hunt for the next game that I'm ready to like sink into, and so I was thinking about getting the Wonderful 101 Remastered. The reviews of the new one are great. The reviews of the original game were great. But the thing that's kind of preventing me from like go ahead and doing it is the fact that like I am just bad at platinum action games and have never like really enjoyed them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do know exactly what you mean. We did an episode many years ago after the Bayonetta collection came out, and we both had like a hard time getting into it. Partially just because like Bayonetta's a lot, but yeah, like you say, just the platinum character action game isn't totally the genre that you and I vibe with best. So yeah, that's a yeah, I wish I had like some advice or some
I
counsel for you here.
Yeah, I wish I had a demo. Like I really wish, and I know it's $40, so it's like discounted, but still like I wish it had a demo because obviously based on the mechanics where there's all these little like guys running around that you're controlling as a horde, it's not exactly like a one-to-one Bayonetta
Yeah.
game, but it just everybody talked about kind of about like the complexity and like how like it can be really difficult and the boss battles can take like half an hour, 45 minutes, and that I don't know. It's just not really what I'm like looking for. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm like, maybe I should check it out. And maybe if I did, I would, like end up liking it.
Hmm.
Well,
What
give
are
us
you
a
gonna
demo.
do?
I feel like that's what it comes down to is
Just
give
gonna
us a
ask for
demo.
Okay.
And then on Wednesday, May 20th, we're getting some new SNES and NES games for the Switch Online program. For the
Out of
SNES,
nowhere.
out of nowhere, yeah, we're getting
Yeah.
Panel de Pon, which has never been localized to North America before. So it's like the Puyo Puyo game that was available at launch, where it's still in Japanese. But you're saying that it's basically like Tetris Attack?
Yeah, my understanding is that it is basically like Tetris Attack, where you are just flipping like tiles around and matching them up, and it's supposed to be a very good game. So I'm interested in checking it out, and having a new puzzle game obsession.
Also on the SNES Switch Online is Logic Bomb and Wild Guns.
Wild Guns is like a run and gun, like side scrolling arcade style like shooter. I am definitely going to at least play that for 10 minutes.
And then on the NES Switch Online, we're getting Rygar, which is a game that I haven't played, but was another one that people seemed like pretty excited about, or there were people saying like, you should check this out, like if you've never played it before. Because I feel like when all these games get announced, myself included, I'm always looking for Donkey Kong Country. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always looking for those big headliners. And so it was nice to have people being like, no, like, Rygar's good. Like, you should check out these games. Like, they're worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there definitely are games on here, like just with Panel de Pon and Rygar, that are worth checking out. But yeah, it does. I mean, every time new games are announced, it is sort of like, okay, but like, where are the big ones that we're missing here, and why aren't they here? But you know, it's always cool to get new games for a service that you know, like I didn't mention it in the games we've been playing, but I played a little bit of Super Mario Brothers 2 over the weekend, and like, you know, it's just a fun, cool thing that I have access to, and that I don't have to like sweat whether I have it or not. It's just there on the Nintendo Switch Online.
And then on Thursday, May 21st, Monster Prom XXL comes out, which I have already pre-ordered.
Oh, wonderful. Mark, we should play together.
Can we play online?
So you can in the PC version. I don't know if you can in the but this is a dating simulator, a dating game, a competitive dating game where you're in high school with monsters and you try to take them to prom, and the writing is beautiful and very, very like funny and smart. So yeah, I'm so excited for this thing to come to Switch, and especially in the XXL package that has all the DLC and stuff. I'm really excited.
Yeah, how does the like, because you can do couch co-op, right?
Yeah.
So how does it work? Like, what makes it competitive?
So, well, I like competitive in that I believe only one of you actually gets to go to prom with the person that you're romancing, and it also means that like, so there are times like every day there's a lunch scene, so you go into the cafeteria and there are only so many tables or only so many seats available at each table. So like if I go before you, and I sit at the table like to block you from like hanging out with the werewolf or whatever, then you know that can bring down your chances of being able to romance the werewolf.
So are you is it like asynchronous multiplayer? Like, are you taking turns like handing off the control?
No, yeah, it's a little bit like that. Yeah, I mean, in that like it is one person's turn to like interact with the monsters and choose where they're going, and all of that. And at the beginning of every round, you can either randomize the turns, or it like makes up a question where it's just like, okay, everyone names a movie, and then like now whoever, you know, would have had like the movie with like the most sequels gets to go first, you know, in the next round. So like it makes you play these sort of like word games, and they're usually funnier and smarter than what I just ad-libbed there. But yeah, the game's great and is such a good like social experience, and even for people who don't really play games, like it's just a funny time.
And then also on Thursday, What the Golf is released.
Yeah, that was an Apple Arcade game that was like a sort of physics-based wacky golf thing that turns into something else. I don't totally know. Every time people would talk about this game, they would say like, "Oh, it's really better, you know, experience than me telling you about it." And then I never experienced it, so I'm afraid I can't even tell you. I can only tell you that it is better experiencing it than telling you what someone told me about it.
And then finally, we weren't sure, but it was true. Elder Scroll Blades did release last week on the eShop.
Very good, and you picked it up, of course.
I mean, who's to say?
I mean, I think I could say, you know, you did not. All right. Well, let's close out the new releases. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo, so for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you have selected today's topic, and it is based on something I have not stopped talking about. I recently watched all 26 James Bond movies, which means I also watched the 1967 Casino Royale, and the Sean Connery is back as a knockoff James Bond, Never Say Never Again, from 1983, the same year as Octopussy, starring Roger Moore. So I have finished all these movies, and I was watching one a day every weekday until I was done with them. And now that I'm done with them, I miss them. I miss that routine.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such like a fun thing to do. Years ago, my friend and I tried to do the same thing, and I think we got through The Man with the Golden Gun, and I couldn't take it anymore. Roger Moore broke me. Actually, the Hick Sheriff broke me. I just couldn't do it.
J.W. Pepper, if you are not familiar with the Roger Moore era of James Bond, he's in the first he's in two movies. And like the first one makes sense because like in Live and Let Die, they're like in Louisiana or somewhere,
right?
Where there's like a swamp, and like the Hick Sheriff is actually, with a giant ball of tobacco in his mouth the whole time. And like it's like it is just hard to watch this guy. And then also, Live and Let Die is racist for a number of other reasons. But then he shows up again in the next movie, Man with the Golden Gun, in like Thailand or something. Like he and his wife are on vacation, and he's just shoehorned in there. And man, is it awful.
It's like they loved the character so much that they were like,
Yeah.
this guy's got to come back. We just got to find a way to bring him back.
So, okay. In the movie after that, which is The Spy Who Loved Me, that features the like henchman villain Jaws, and I actually appreciate that between that movie and Moonraker, they bring Jaws back. So like you got two movies in a row with J.W. Pepper, and then you got two movies with Jaws, and Jaws in the first one that he's in, Spy Who Loved Me, is just like unstoppable muscle, and he's got metal teeth. So like it's ridiculous that he needs to get so close to you that he can bite you to hurt you. But it's a conceit, and they stick to it, and like you got to respect that. But in Moonraker, he just keeps surviving. So like he's in a gondola that crashes, and it's like, oh, he surely died there. No, he did not die there. He's in a boat that goes over an enormous waterfall. Oh, he probably died there. Did not die there. Then they're up in a space station, and first of all, he finds love on this space station, which is ridiculous. And then he turns on the bad guy, like it fights with James Bond. And then comes crashing down to Earth like in a shuttle with his new girlfriend and survives that.
You've got to tell me, how was Quantum of Solace? Oh, well, I guess we'll never know.
Boy, that's disappointing. I just want to say that I really like Quantum of Solace, and the song at the beginning of it, the Jack White, I forget the woman who's singing it with him. It's called Another Way to Die, Another Day, something about dying. That song rules. I love it so much. But that was it. We were accompanied today by the EBU Your Radio Orchestra. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Well, of course, the big news from last week is that Nintendo stealth announced Paper Mario, the Origami King, a brand new Paper Mario game coming in just 2 short months on July 17th.
Outrageous. This is coming so soon. So, Mark, you looking for like another game to play, like another media experience to like sink your fingers into, this could be that very soon.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really excited for this. I love the original Paper Mario. I love Thousand Year Door. I didn't love Super Paper Mario, but like Super Paper Mario for me was kind of what you were describing for Color Splash, where it's just like I love like the aesthetic and I love the writing and like all of that
Hmm.
held true through all of it, but just like the gameplay, it wasn't. It didn't. It got a little too like futzy and just like in its own way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I am worried that that is what we're going to see with this game. But it seemed like they were really in the trailer anyway, really putting forth a lot of like cool little actiony moments. Like there's Mario like driving through the desert in like a dune buggy thing that's made of a boot. They're like going down a log ride looking thing. Like it seems like there's enough cool action based stuff happening that like I hope the game is fun and varied and not too futzy.
Yeah, totally. And it's surprising for a game, and maybe not that surprising, but it's surprising to me that a game that's only 2 months away, we got this first trailer, but we still know basically nothing about. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
we don't. The only thing we know about the battle system is what people have been able to glean from like Game Explain. It looks like it's more traditional turn-based RPG with like a new mechanic where you have to like align enemies in like concentric circles. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like there are circles that surround Mario, and like the idea is that the enemies placed on the circle, you just line them up so that you can hit them, hit multiple enemies with a single attack. Um, and that is like a time-based like puzzle solving sort of thing. And yeah, like again, I hope that that is not something that's going to get like too futzy and like I hope it's something that like when you're leveled up enough that you can just like plow through and be like, I don't know, spin these rings around.
yeah, yes, exactly. Or that it's like so much fun that you're like, yeah,
Yes.
like great, I want to spin these things around more. Um, it's developed by Intelligent Systems, who is also, has developed all the other games in the franchise. Also, the developer, or I guess like steward of the Fire Emblem series. In like a VentureBeat article about this, the author mentioned that like Intelligent Systems only oversaw Tecmo Koei, who did the actual production of Fire Emblem Three Houses, which was the first time that I had heard that. Which I thought was really interesting because I assumed that Fire Emblem Three Houses was so big that they were like all in on it, and
Yeah.
so it was kind of a surprise to me that like that apparently was maybe not true.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw the I was looking at Intelligent Systems Wikipedia today, and saw that that Three Houses had been co-developed with Tecmo Koei. But yeah, I guess if like I wonder what the actual relationship between the studios was, because obviously Three Houses was cooking for a long time. And like, isn't didn't Koei Tecmo also develop the Fire Emblem Warriors?
Oh, that I that sounds right. I think they like are kind of like the Dynasty Warrior people, but I
Yeah,
can't remember for sure.
neither can I. But yeah, I mean, it's just basically just to say that like, yeah, Fire Emblem Three Houses is less than a year old at this point, which is that true?
Yeah, because it'll
Wow.
actually be so Fire Emblem Three Houses came out in July of 2019, so this will be released almost a year exactly after
Wow.
like the last Intelligent Systems produced game was. Um,
But Intelligent Systems is frequently a prolific studio, right? Like they put out a lot of Fire Emblem games. They've put out all of the Paper Mario, and I guess this is like the sixth game in 20 years or whatever. So that's not too much, but like they always have they're always putting games out.
Sure. Because it is a Paper Mario game, of course it has like art style that's a mix of like Paper Mario, but because it's introducing origami, there's origami in there and like other paper craft.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are parts of it that do start to look like Yoshi's Crafted World. that like some of the environments look a little bit more like cardboardy, or they just have like a little bit more dimension to them, especially when we see like all the big paper mache things. Like there's a Goomba who's like enormous and like has all this dimension to him, and I don't know if that's just like advanced origami or if it's like a yet another kind of paper at play here.
The battle system, like we mentioned, seems to be turn-based, but it's the like I guess like feature this time is these rotating dials where enemies are placed on them, and seemingly there's a mechanic where you're trying to line the enemies up to get bonuses and things like that.
Yeah, positional.
And like one of the things that people are excited about and which hasn't been confirmed, other than like, look, everything in the trailer is like 2-second snippets, and I think we've seen 1 2-second snippet of a battle. But apparently in like the Chinese Paper Mario Origami
Yeah.
King trailer, there's like a Toad companion, which people are hoping means that like the return of companions in battle is part of this.
I mean, it is interesting. Like the even the trailer that we saw, Mario is accompanied by like a little origami spirit or something.
Right, it's like
and
it's like the princess or like the king's
Oh,
sister or
okay.
like something like that.
Sure, King's sister, the Origami King's sister, and also like a folded up Bowser. So he's just like a square, and you can tell that the rest of Bowser has been like folded behind him. So like it does seem like there is a party system here. It's not just Mario.
So I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited to see this reveal and that it's coming 2 months out. It's been so long, since I've played a Paper Mario game. I'm really excited for the opportunity to like kind of jump back into that world.
Yeah, me too. And also like whether Nintendo games have gotten just better in the Switch era, or whether it is just more enjoyable to play games on my Switch, whatever it is, I'll take it. Like if this game is of a similar quality to Color Splash, but we're playing it on Switch, like that may be enough to make it good enough for me to play.
Yeah, so the very end of the trailer got people talking because
We're
like
getting
I said,
into it.
yeah,
Get
like
into it, Mark.
so
Let's do it.
all of the clips in the trailer were really short, like just a couple
So short.
seconds, and then at the very end they like linger on this moment where Mario is wearing a big oversized, like it basically takes up, it's bigger than his body, like paper mache Samus helmet from the Metroid series, and he's like walking back and forth a little bit, and the Origami King's sister, is like speaking to the camera saying, I can't remember, something like snappy.
It's like that's not something you see every day,
right? And yeah, so it has people
right.
wondering, like, we're looking for secret messages, basically. This is Reggie wearing a Samus pin all over again, or like a mother pin, where we're like, we're trying to like read the tea leaves and hope beyond hope that there's something Metroid coming soon.
Well, okay, let's do it. Let's dig in. Let us take every scrap of information that we have here, combine it with the scraps of information that we have from previous rumors, and let's try to like drill down into what is almost certainly not going to be objective truth. So the fact that there is a new Paper Mario game coming out lends some sort of credence to the rumors that we were hearing a couple weeks ago that in celebration of Mario's 35th anniversary, Nintendo was going to do two things. One, put out either remakes or collections or something for 3D Mario games, and two, put out a new Paper Mario. So the Paper Mario has been confirmed. That part of the rumor is yes and is correct. What does this mean for the validity of the Mario 3D collections?
I mean, I was always on board. I am ready for that to be true. I think it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
We got Connor's email from a few weeks ago where he,
Great point.
like there was like an audition for what could very well be a commercial around Mario's 35th anniversary. Like, to me, it makes a ton of sense. So yeah, at this point, I'm all in.
Okay, so Mark is all in, confirmed. We're going to take that to the bank. There was another part of, or perhaps a separate rumor. I don't know if it was ever connected to the Paper Mario thing, but there was a rumor of a new 2D Metroid game coming to Switch. Uh, Now, the fact that we have seen a Samus helmet in this, and then with a comment about you don't see that every day, does that lend any fuel to this for you?
So I think you're right that this was not like really, this is a separate rumor that's been persistent for a while, but I don't
Hmm.
think was like ever mentioned in the same breath necessarily as like the Mario stuff. I do believe this is coming because I think Samus Returns was successful, and I think it would be weird to just like have Mercury Steam make that one game that did well and then never like do anything with it again. Especially,
Yeah.
we have like Metroid Prime 4 coming at some point. So this would not surprise me. Is it coming this year? I wouldn't even begin to guess at this point.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that this has me thinking. I'm gonna get it. Let's open this up a little bit wider because it is sort of weird to get an announcement like this and then the game coming out 2 months later. Um, but I think some of that is probably that they had either intended to reveal this in a Nintendo Direct that was either canceled or delayed. Um, and so, like, they just have to get the information out now because the game is due out in a couple months. Um, and, like, I think we have seen a couple parts of what would have been a Nintendo Direct not leak out, but actually be released over the course of the last week. The new SNES and NES Switch Online games would have fit comfortably into a Nintendo Direct. There was a like longer trailer for Clubhouse Games that sort of detailed all of the games and just like was another close look at them that would have fit nicely in another Nintendo Direct, and maybe just missing whatever big thing that they were going to show off. They were like, oh, we can't really make this a direct, so like pushing out the separate videos. And then like if that is the case, if there was a direct, I could then also believe that there was a Metroid game that they were going to reveal and use the Paper Mario thing as like a lead into it, or something fun like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there was in articles about this, VentureBeat basically said as much, where they were like, Nintendo previously they had reported that Nintendo had a direct for June that they were planning to reschedule for later in the summer, and now they're basically just like, we have no idea when a new direct is going to be. So, third party games, I feel like third party games, especially like the smaller ones, are probably the biggest. I feel like that when that with the release of the trailer for the Origami King, and we saw that it like
Hmm.
exploded on YouTube, and on social media, like I think Nintendo can get away without doing a direct. I think who really kind of like it hurts to not have a direct are those smaller third party games or like indie titles that really benefit from that spotlight.
Yeah, from being like buoyed up by the Nintendo stuff. Yeah, I mean, because it's tough. There's so many things going on this summer that are like meant to showcase games that like it kind of all just becomes a sludge of like here's all when you spread E3 out over 4 months, it doesn't feel super special, I guess. And yeah, can totally make it hard for smaller games to be featured or spotlighted.
So if we have the Mario games, assuming those are coming. We
Mhm.
have Origami King, a new Paper Mario game, and then the third part of this that has kind of been rumored a lot, and again, VentureBeat just straight up said that it was coming soon, is Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
Right. And Pikmin 3, that's starting to round out the like final edges of the Wii U games that have not been ported over to Switch yet, especially if 3D World is part of the either collection or like re-releases. Um, but yeah, It's a lot of ports, right? Like if we're looking at Xenoblade, if we're looking at Pikmin 3, and there was another one. Oh, and Mario 3D World. Um, yeah, it's a lot of not like brand new stuff, which makes me a little like, we could really use some like new energy here. Um, but that those would all be good things to see come over to the Switch.
And I also think that th- um that is not all everything, or was certainly not planned to be
Yeah,
everything. Because I do think we're still missing potentially like the big holiday game. I don't think it would be the 3D remasters.
yeah,
Although maybe it will be now. I don't know. I just feel like, probably Nintendo had more in the works and potentially still has more in the works that will be revealed for this year, but that all of those plans are a little bit up in the air,
yeah.
and that yeah, it just kind of like remains to be seen. It's going to be really interesting.
Does Let me ask you this: does Paper Mario and the Origami King, Paper Mario the Origami King, does that feel like it is occupying a little bit the same space as the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening last year? That like it is a game that is garnering a lot of attention from like the Nintendo enthusiast crowd, but is maybe something that Nintendo didn't quite have like the scale of it in mind, that they were viewing it as more of like a second tier release, and we're all like, oh my god, we're going back to Koholint.
Yeah,
uh
I think it's
yeah
100% like a fan to a degree. I think it's 100% like where fans are super super excited, and then the mainstream it does well. Like I think Link's Awakening has sold like 4 million copies, like over 4 million copies, which is great, right? Like that's really good, but is
yeah
totally not like a phenomenon. Like Luigi's Mansion 3 has sold more than that. And so I do think that Paper Mario fits in that same space where it's like, I think it's going to do well. Nintendo games on the Switch do well. But I don't think it's probably, yeah, like even a Fire Emblem Three Houses, maybe a little bit better because it's Mario and a little bit more accessible.
yeah
But I think you're spot on. Uh, Turning away from what could be happening from speculation, a Nintendo Treehouse rep revealed last week that the original voice cast for Xenoblade Chronicles returned to voice their characters in the brand new epilogue that'll be included in the re-release called Future Connected. Also interesting tidbit that came out of this, that Monolith Soft redid all of the lip sync for this version of the game.
Which is maybe all just to like really hammer home the fact that I did not minutes ago say that's a lot of ports. I don't think this game is a port. I think that they really did this game like it is a graphical overhaul built from the ground up. In the last couple weeks I've seen a lot of different like comparison videos where they're like, here's how the game looked when it was running on Wii, and here's how it looked when it was running on the new 3DS, and yes, it ran on the new 3DS. And those, like, you could argue which one looks better. Sometimes the Wii one looks better. Sometimes the 3DS one looks better. But then the Switch version, it's like leaps and bounds. It looks like a modern-ish game. Like, it looks beautiful, and a lot of the sort of like even designs have been overhauled, so that instead of doing that, like trying to look human but falling short because of the technical limitations, they're sort of leaning into the more like anime style of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I think it looks all the better for it. More colorful, more expressive. Like, I'm worried that I am interested in this game now.
I'm excited. I would love for you to pick it up and let me know how it goes. I completely and totally forgot that this was a new 3DS exclusive game.
Yeah. One of two or three, right? Like
Yeah.
there was maybe like a Binding of Isaac, and maybe like a Monster Hunter game, and like that was it.
I feel like you're right, where this doesn't feel so much like a port, partly because it's from, like it's been over 10 years probably.
Yeah, it's been a
Or
long time.
I guess I don't know, maybe not 10 years, but it's been a while since this game probably came out in like 2011 or 2010 because it was part of Operation Rainfall. So like I'm pretty sure this game was when it finally did come over was a GameStop or Nintendo online store exclusive. Like it was in so few people's hands and it was from the Wii era. It wasn't even in HD. And so to have it on like this system, like
Yeah.
it's a chance for so many more people to experience it, even more than something like a Wii U port. So in that way, I think it's like really cool to see it happen.
Mark, you're about to forgive yourself because the game originally released in Japan in 2010 and then went to Europe in 2011 and then North America in 2012.
Wow.
So forgive yourself.
As demonstrated in the Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics video that dropped just this week, local multiplayer is supported with a single game cart for a number of games, meaning if you have multiple Switches but only one copy of the game, up to 4 people can play together via like the free multiplayer app, which I'm pretty sure you get from the eShop. Everybody downloads it for free, and then the one person with the game cart can like kick off a game and everybody's able to participate together.
Very good, very smart. I wish more Nintendo games would support this. Mario Party for one. Super Mario Party is a game that I do like. But there's a mode where you can like put 2 Switches together.
Yes, that's
and,
exactly
like,
what I was thinking of.
you need 2 copies of the game for that, which is just insanity. So like I get why they don't do it for Mario Kart. I get why they don't do it for Smash. But something like this Clubhouse Games, something like Mario Party, if there's ever a multiplayer like WarioWare or something, like they should all have this free multiplayer thing.
One of the things we talked about last week was how like Nintendo's mobile gaming revenue had like increased by 10% year over year. And for a while, like we were talking about new mobile games coming out fairly often. This past summer, you had Dr. Mario World and Mario Kart Tour. There were rumors of some sort of like Zelda game in the works, but really it's been a while since Mario Kart Tour that we've really heard anything about new mobile Nintendo games. And during the financial results conference call last week, Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa said that they are continuing to develop new applications, but they're not looking to release it at like the cadence that they were previously.
Interesting. Do we think that's just because they're not seeing the kind of like return on their investment there, or is it that they don't necessarily need it with the Switch doing as well as it is?
Yeah, I wonder because when they were under so much pressure during the Wii U era to turn to mobile games. And I think they found like a steady groove with a few of the games that have like really taken off, but I also wonder, they were all in the beginning with that partnership, and I think they actually bought part of DNA.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that has worked out for them, or because, not like I think Dr. Mario World was developed in partnership with Line, another Japanese company. Like, I wonder if, with the success of the Switch and
Dragalia Lost too, right, was developed by another company as well.
Yeah, so I wonder if you're right that with the success of the Switch, they're under so much less pressure. It gives them more time to like maybe rethink it or at least space it out.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think the fact of the matter is like they have one mega hit from their and it's Fire Emblem Heroes, and all the rest of the games have like either performed well enough or underperformed. So like. I think there's probably a part of them that are like, okay, like we tried this, and to make games the way we make games, the misses are going to be more likely than the hits.
Yeah.
And then, when Animal Crossing sells like 15 million copies, it's like, well, why bother with a mobile version?
Yeah, I think Tour is probably, maybe it's a little too early to say, but I think Mario Kart Tour is maybe like the other one that has done really well for them. To your point, I think what's interesting is in the conference call, Furukawa said that they we are looking at the continuation of our mobile business as a way to make active use of Nintendo IP in the interest of maximizing the entirety of Nintendo's business. So they've talked a lot about IP expansion, and you see that with like Uniqlo clothing lines and a Super Mario movie, and maybe we're seeing them think about the mobile IP or the mobile games like more in that vein.
Yeah. Hey, Nintendo, again, this is an idea I will keep pitching, is that either the Switch Online app or just a separate app should allow me to stream the music from any game that I'm playing that has a music player in the game. If I've unlocked that song, let me stream it to my phone.
I would pay additional money for that functionality. Like I
As
would
would
pay
I.
like $5 every month to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, if I could play all of everything, all the music I've unlocked in Smash, in Super Mario Galaxy, like, come on.
Well, it's interesting because like Nintendo, there you can find a lot of compilations on YouTube or a lot of game music on YouTube.
Yeah.
And Nintendo every so often goes through and like purges basically, and like shuts a lot of those down. But I feel like, and that's fair. It's they own the copyright. It is like they're within their rights to do that. But I feel like the other part of that is like help make it available because clearly there is a like desire for that.
Yeah, a huge market for it. And like if you're connecting it to your like having played the games or man, if I could play like Animal Crossing music on demand, like I'd be doing that too. Like it's all worth it. Like, and I think people are becoming. We'll get to another news story in a little bit, but like I think that a new generation of gamers is like getting these pieces of Nintendo music like ingrained in their hearts, and like if they can play them through official channels, they will.
Last week, Epic Games and PlayStation partnered to show off a demo of Unreal Engine 5 in action, running on PlayStation 5 hardware. It's a demo that was supposed to have been playable at GDC, but of course that has been canceled. But while the demo was shown off on a PlayStation 5, Epic CEO Tim Sweeney told Eurogamer that the engine would run on all other platforms, including the Switch. So, like Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5 will. Actually, I'm not sure. Did Unreal Engine 4 out of the box work with Switch, or did they have to? They must have had to do an update. But Unreal Engine
I think
5
they had to
will,
update
out
it,
of
yeah.
the box, work with Switch.
Which is not to suggest that the demo that they showed off in this like GDC thing would be playable on not that it would run the way it does on the PS5 as it does on Switch, but just that the like architecture, the engine will work with Switch, which is encouraging because it does seem like it is a powerful set of tools. And if people are creating things with that powerful set of tools, and you can just like bring those sliders down so it can run on Switch, that's, and I know it's more complicated than that.
I mean, I'm not sure. I've
yeah.
never done it myself.
But it's just it's encouraging. It makes me think that we will probably see more maybe not more cross-platform development, but not a drop-off in it if everyone is able to use Unreal 5.
Right, and Unreal Engine 5, they are upfront saying it's not going to release until 2021, like fall 2021. And so even if it's not, I guess the way I think about it is like even if we don't see Switch games necessarily running on Unreal Engine 5, I do wonder if whatever this like follows the Switch, how we are now seeing more ports of older games that they were released on PlayStation 4 a year or two ago, and then they come over to Switch. If that means that the same thing will be true of PlayStation 5 and whatever the Switch successor is, like it'll be able to keep that same momentum going.
Yeah. And one of the other things that about Unreal Engine 5 is that it was like compatible or upscalable from an Unreal Engine 4. So people working in the game now or in the engine now will be able to just upgrade to the new system and then just like start to incorporate new stuff, which again is such a like developer friendly method of especially for ongoing service games and stuff like that. So it's just very exciting to see like a continuity between like these generations, especially as Nintendo is just like within a console generation. That there's just more continuity here, and I think that's super rad and very exciting.
Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Evo, the fighting game tournament that's normally held every summer in Las Vegas. Recently announced that due to COVID-19, they were going to be taking the event online. But last week we got a little more details on that, and I don't know if Patrick, you want to run us through it.
Sure. So it was announced that they are doing Evo Online, which instead of taking place over a single weekend, is going to be over 5 weekends in July. And the lineup is a little bit different. First thing to note is that, while all of these events are going to be held online, there's no more in person. I think actually it's a little bit unclear what exactly all of this is going to be. But Super Smash Bros. Ultimate will not be featured in the tournament this year, which is why we're sort of bringing it up here. Smash Ultimate was a big part, or was planned to be a big part of the tournament this year, but as the whole thing is going online, it is now no longer.
Yeah, I think it's a
Um,
kind of like unfortunate indictment of that game's like online experience.
So possibly, because the other thing, Evo Online said like they had this video. It said they would feature special exhibitions and content from, and then it's all of the games that were originally announced minus Super Smash Brothers. So Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Samurai Showdown, Soul Calibur 6, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, Tekken 7, and Under Night in Birth EXE. Um, so, so it doesn't say that they're holding like regular tournaments for them. I think
Mm.
it'll probably be like a just a winners bracket, like just a 8-person bracket that they play out, and those may actually be in person matches. Like we discussed on a previous episode that they could do like socially distant, responsible ways of doing this if it's just a couple people in like a giant ballroom and like keeping their space and wearing masks and stuff. Um, but so for all of these games, I could see the publishers having new content that they want to like advertise at this time. So special exhibitions and content could mean a lot of things that aren't just tournaments. And well, like they could knock off the Soul Calibur 6 tournament because they've got a new character to reveal. Nintendo's not going to reveal a DLC character for Smash at Evo. Like that's not going to happen. Um, One of the other things that's being added here, there are going to be open tournaments for a couple games that were not in the original lineup, including Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, Killer Instinct, Skullgirls Second Encore, and it's great to see Skullgirls in there, and Them's Fightin' Herds, which is like a My Little Pony fighter, basically. But so these are open to the public. Registration will be open at some point. Check out Evo Online's Twitter account for more information about that. And then they are also doing a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 special invitational tournament. And that's one that they specifically call out. That was in the original lineup, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And this is one where they are specifically saying that they are doing a tournament, which is what leads me to believe that we are probably not going to see full-fledged tournaments for the other 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That makes a lot of sense. I think it's cool, and maybe it is something that they've done in the past, but I like the idea of like by virtue of them going online, they're able to have these open tournaments that maybe in a
Yeah.
way they wouldn't have before.
Yeah, well, and especially when it comes to, I don't know what the net code is like for Mortal Kombat 11 and Killer Instinct, but Skullgirls and Them's Fightin' Herds both use GGPO, which is a kind of fighting game online code that uses like predictive behavior, so it knows what you're about to enter before you enter it, and if it's basically magic, and makes the online experience for both of those games way smoother than it should be. And it is possible because there are like fewer configurations of stuff. Like it's something that you would be physically impossible to apply to Smash Brothers even if the net code worked the way it was supposed to, right? So like I wonder if Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct also have good online experiences, and that's why they're part of this like open tournament, because it really is tricky to do a fighting game tournament where everyone is playing online.
Another big change is that the event's going to take place over 5 weekends in July.
Yep.
So just like, like with E3 being gone, you get like everything gets stretched out, and thus too EVO Online.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to check out the schedule when they finally post it. I am of the open games, the only one that I like play is Skullgirls, and it's been a little bit. But I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm thinking it would be fun to like get in fighting shape in Skullgirls and like get knocked out in the first round. That sounds like fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, what a cool experience to be able to participate.
Yeah.
And finally, if you haven't seen the video yet, you should check it out on YouTube. Nintendo released a video of the musicians who perform the Animal Crossing's New Horizon theme song, performing it from home. It's very fun. It's and it's cool to see like the musicians behind it. Like the guy who plays the trumpet is like a complete beast.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to like, and this is maybe an obvious statement, but it's great to see the individuals playing the instruments and like associating them with the textures. Like when you're playing a game, it's so often just like a wall of sound, and it's easy to forget that Nintendo does such a great job of writing music and arranging music where the parts are clear, and like you can hear that flugelhorn and you can hear the ukulele and you can hear like the accordion, and seeing it all is just so charming and wonderful. And like I mentioned before, like this piece of music, hearing it made me feel something. Like I'm connected to it now, and judging by my Twitter timeline, there's a bunch of you who are connected to this piece of music now.
Yeah, it really made me appreciate like the artistry. I think sometimes we talk about we're a Nintendo show and we talk about Nintendo as like a monolithic entity, and it makes you appreciate that like the individual people who make like who all the work that goes into it, and like what a collective it is, and like how each person is so immensely talented separately. Because like you turn on Animal Crossing and you hear the theme song, and I never gave a second thought to like the performers who like work together to make it possible. So like I really like that part of it as well, like the humanization of the machine.
Yeah, it's a totally wholesome experience. 100% check it out. All right, Mark, that's going to do it for the news. Let's wrap this up. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you like the episode. Please share it wherever you share stuff. We like it when you do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. You can also check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.
My name is Will Hines, and I am a ghostwriter, meaning I write other people's books for them. And I have a podcast called I Will Write Your Book, which are recordings of my meetings with my eccentric clients, such as a woman blocked after one sentence of a children's book about her dogs, a romance novelist who dislikes sex, and a man proud of having sampled everything in his local grocery store. This podcast has been described as fully improvised, played by some of the best comedians on the planet Earth. Hey, that's pretty good. That's I Will Write Your Book on Campfire Media.
Campfire.